Hi there, Office Boy Builder here. Welcome to the channel. I hope you are well. If you are a new subscriber or you have just found me because you are looking for a gift for a DIYer that you love or someone that you know and you cannot think what to get them, thanks for joining. I hope you find this helpful and informative. I'm going to go through as quick as I can. In fact, right now I'm going to show you the list of all of the items in this video that we're going to be covering off. So if you're really pressed for time, you can skip through and you can find the thing that you are looking for. I'm also going to do a very quick rundown of what these items are and give you a little bit of an explanation about why I love them and what they're useful for, so that the DIYer in your life will hopefully love them too. This is great for Christmas. It's Christmas at the minute. It's great for that, for stocking fillers. It's great for birthday presents, Easter, Hanukkah, whatever it is you're looking for to celebrate or to show someone that you love them. Hopefully this is helpful to you. These are not in any specific order, but I do want to start with what I think is possibly one of the coolest gifts. It's not so much a DIY thing, and actually if you're a lady watching, they do these in kind of slightly more feminine colors as well, but it is this. It is a lighter, and this one is from Amazon. It's by a brand called Mayberry. They do all different types and you can find them on there, and they're not expensive. I think they're about £8 or £9 on Prime. And it's basically a taser, right? So you slide this thing up and you press the button. I don't know if you can see this here, but it is a taser. It's electric. I haven't touched this yet. I don't really want to, but it sets things on fire really, really nicely. I've got a candle here and you tase and it sets it on fire. So that is really cool, and the best bit is it's a USB-C charger. It's got a charging port. It comes with a cable. You plug it in. You get about 300 lights, it says, before it does. You don't get that many, but it's super quick. It's easy. You don't have to worry about gas. You don't have to worry about matches. You don't have to worry about kids accidentally pressing it, because it does slide down and guard as well. And it looks really cool. It looks like a taser. So the blokes in your life are going to love this. Girls, if you want one, they do them in rose gold and in slightly nicer girly colors as well. So that's number one. Next on the list, we have the Speed Square. This is hugely useful for a number of reasons. It has a ruler on it on both axes, on both sides. It also has some grooves in here that you can put your pencil into, so that you've got a nice straight edge down this bit here. When you slide that up against a piece of wood, you can put your pencil in and you can mark down a perfectly straight line that will be whatever these distances are. So that's super helpful. It has gaps in it as well, so that when you hold it up against something, you can measure along here with the ruler and along this side. And it's also very, very useful because it is a perfect 90-degree angle. And along here, if they're getting really technical with things, then they're able to do hip and valley rafters and common cuts and degrees and angles for if they're doing different angles of wood. And even if they're not doing roofing, that is still very useful to put it up and to be able to pivot it and to know what the different degrees are if they need to make it cut. So this is a very, very helpful piece of kit, and I'm sure that they will love it. Links in the description. Next up, we have these. These are mine, and all of this stuff are things that I'm using at the minute and have been very, very helpful. These are called pump wedges. And what you do is when you are hanging a door, or you need to, or anything else actually for that matter, but these are especially helpful for doors, you slide the bag when it's deflated under the door, you pump it up like you would if you're getting your blood pressure tested, and it raises up the door, and it's nice and firm, very, very solid construction, very well seamed on the edges, and it's very tough material. And then to let the air out, you just press the pressure release valve and you can let the air escape. And they come in a pair, so that you can put one at each end of the door and you can level it up equally or tilt it and pivot it. A very, very useful piece of kit. Okay, this little guy is absolutely awesome, and I would highly, highly recommend getting one of these. This is called a Marxman. Loads of people know these, loads of people have used them, but I still don't think very many people have them. It is a really, really clever piece of kit. It's a marking tool that has a little pump on it So you twist this thing round so that it lines up with the slot, and then you put the nozzle into a hole and you press, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it gives a little puff of green dust and smoke, and it will go all the way through to a hole that is, okay, so look at this, best for marking and fixing points, anything up to 100 millimeters deep. That is 10 centimeters of depth this thing will spray into under pressure. Absolutely brilliant. And then to stop it from puffing smoke, you just pull the cap out and twist it round so that it's locked in place and then it won't leave a mess everywhere. This has been the man of the match for me in so many instances where I've got to fix a piece of wood to a wall and I pre-drill my hole, and then I've got to try and work out where that hole is going to be. This Marxman is absolutely brilliant. I have a feeling it was even featured on Dragon's Den, and it's excellent, excellent piece of kit. I always keep that with me, and I'm sure that your DIYer will love it too. So the next thing on my list is a Moleskine, or any other type of notebook really. I think Moleskines work really nicely. I have taken so many notes in these. I've gone through 2 or 3 of these things now, and anytime I need to do a drawing or sketch something out or plan something, I will do it in here, whether it's a piece of furniture. You know, I've made some wardrobes in our bedroom and I sketched that out. But I also went, you can write cut lists in it. I mean, you can literally do anything that you want. The other thing that I did in here was I planned out the entire roof layout and span of our extension that I'm in now. I did the whole thing on paper first, and I mentally went through where everything needed to be in the right angle, in the right distancing, in the right spacing. I wrote it all out, and then I was able to tick it off as I went through. So all of the thinking, everything that was swirling around in my head, I could get down on paper. It cleared my mind, and it enabled me to do a much better job, and the thing came out perfectly. I did it in scale, and it just allowed me to think, and also it enabled me to show my wife what it was going to look like, because I think sometimes it's easier to see things on a piece of paper than it is just to have somebody explain and describe it to you. Moleskines come with quite a handy little folder at the back that you can put pieces of paper in, and they're just a lovely, lovely gift. Really nice, thoughtful present for somebody to be able to mark their thoughts, to journal, or to write and to draw in there. So a Moleskine is a great piece of kit. The next one, and ladies, I think you may appreciate this more than the blokes, but the blokes will thank you for it, are Working Hands by O'Keeffe's. This hand cream is brilliant. I've gone through 2 or 3 of these tubs. This is my 3rd one now, I think. You need a tiny, I've got quite big hands, and you need a tiny, tiny amount like that, about that much, and you work it in, and it really does help moisturize your hands. It keeps them, it stops them from cracking, which makes a huge difference, because when you're working outside in the cold, when you're working with gypsum, when you're working with plaster, it's so dry, it sucks all the moisture out your hands and it leaves them susceptible to cracking, which is really painful and uncomfortable. It also makes them a lot more coarse, and that's when, you know, people run their hands over a pair of tights or soft cotton and it snags and it scrapes on your skin. It's not very nice. Working Hands by O'Keeffe's is possibly the best hand cream going, and I highly, highly recommend this. So as a little stocking filler, the DIYer in your life is going to love that. Okay, now the next item is something that I don't have. It's something that I would really like. It is a mechanical pencil. Everybody uses these guys, and they are helpful, they're cheap, they're cheerful, and they do have some benefits in terms of their size and their scale. It's very, very useful. But a mechanical pencil like the one I'm going to show you on the screen now is really helpful. It can fit into the slots on speed squares like I showed you earlier. They're very strong, they're very reliable, and the nib is strong enough but long enough that it can get into deep holes. So these are really, really nifty little gifts. So if you're looking for a small stocking filler for your loved one, this is going to be great. If your DIY friend or DIY partner or loved one is really into electrics and electrical bits and doing kind of, you know, wiring around the house, here are a couple of little gifts that if they don't have them will be super handy. This here is a little tester. There's a green light on the back when you switch it on. And what it does is it tests for electricity. So when you switch it on, you put a little battery in the back. When you switch it on, so the light is green. Green means good, means go, means there is no electrical current. When you press it against something with electricity, it bleeps and it turns red. You can test it static electricity, right? So you know that it's going to be useful and working if you do that. So then you obviously want to, clear the charge, and then if you touch it against something with electricity, then it will bleep. It's a really handy, it's a nice to have tool. It's useful. It's not a certified thing for testing that something is dead, like an official electrician wouldn't use it, but it's a great DIY gift and they're not expensive. Another super handy DIY gift for an electrician or somebody, a DIYer who really likes doing electrics, is a pair of these. These are wire strippers, and you put the cable in here, and you pull, and it will strip the end of the cable off. It also has some wire cutting bits here and some crimpers, and you can dial in the setting of how tight it is or how loose it is, depending on the size and the thickness of the cable. I've managed to strip cable up to 10 mil squared on this before, which is really, really thick cable. So these are very, very good. They're very handy. These ones are made by Stanley, Fatmax. There'll be a link in the description below to an Amazon quick link that you can get them from as well. Okay, next thing on every DIYer's list are clamps. These little mini guys are amazing, really, really strong. They come in a range of sizes, so you can get bigger ones and even smaller ones. You can never have too many clamps. As a DIYer, as a professional, as a carpenter, whatever it is that you do for your hobby or for your DIY, clamps are very, very useful. So these are a really, really accessible way of filling somebody's stocking. Next on the list, and this was a gift from my brother-in-law to me, and I would now not be without it. Again, much like the Marxman, this little fella has been possibly the man of the match more times than any other piece of kit that I use. It is a folding Stanley knife, box cutter, scalpel, whatever you want to call it. It has a little button here that releases the blades, and you can then put new ones in and they lock in very tightly, and you can spin the blade around so you get use out of both sides of it. It is incredibly strong. Sometimes the cheap disposable ones that you snap off the end and use the next bit, they're very, very brittle and weak. This is incredibly strong, got a very, very strong back to it, so that when you're scoring down fireboard or fireproof plasterboard or really thick plasterboard, this is really good and very strong for it. It also has a secondary function, which I will show you here, which does a couple of things. So it has a hexagonal head of different sizes that you can use to twist and tighten things. It has a bottle opener, which is pretty handy. It also has a screwdriver head and a little marking point as well. So this is, and a tiny little ruler on the back, which I haven't ever used, but is kind of cool that it's there. And this bit is serrated as well. So if you need to cut through stuff, that's pretty useful. So this is a great piece of kit. You can see it's very, very well worn, very well loved. Absolutely love this piece of kit, and I reckon the DIYer in your life would appreciate it too. The next piece of kit I've actually left on a job site, so you can see that I was using it. I love these guys. Again, a gift, another stocking filler that I received from my brother-in-law, same guy that got me the folding knife. These are called bench cookies. They are super handy. I'm going to show you on the screen what they look like now. They are really very useful. They elevate your work pieces ever so slightly. You get 4 little pucks in a pack, and they grip really, really nicely. They're soft on both sides, so they're grippy and they're spongy. So they elevate your piece of work. They keep them off. You can use them as 3s, in 2s, in 1s, or as a 4. However, whichever combination you want to use them in, they are really helpful. They also have a screw head in them as well that you can obviously screw into so you can attach it to things. So for instance, if you had to raise a piece up and you had a couple of tripods, the screw head on the bottom of it would fit into a tripod so you can raise things up, which is a pretty nifty little feature. I really rate these guys. I've used them tons. If I'm trimming doors down or if I've got to cut down a piece of work, I just throw 4 of these guys down, lay the piece of work on it, and I can chop away, and I know that I'm not going to tear through the floor below. So the bench cookies are super, super helpful. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. I want to give you one bonus present now, and this is a slightly bigger one. This is an under the tree gift. This is not going to be a stocking filler. But if you have a DIYer in your life that's constantly making a mess, constantly needs to be tidying up, or that you just wish would tidy up a little bit more, you can give them a little prompt and a hint, and it's with one of these. Now this is by Bosch. but Makita make them. I think DeWalt do one as well. So whatever battery system your loved one is using, make sure you get a cordless one that will fit their battery system. They are not expensive, proportionately, reasonably cheap. I think these are probably 60 or 70 pounds. The nozzle comes off and you can sometimes get different attachments for them. They're surprisingly powerful. They're not particularly loud. They have different speed settings and they're very, very useful if you've been doing plasterboarding and you just got a whole load of dust on the floor. This will get rid of it. Leaves in the garden, also very useful for. Also, I've taken this to all sorts of places. We went camping in the summer. We had an inflatable mattress and this pumped it up, I kid you not, in about 7 seconds. So very, very handy for a whole range of different things, keeping your area clean. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you found it useful. As I say, if you're new to the channel, please do like, comment, subscribe. I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas, but if you're watching this any other time of the year, you are very welcome here on the channel. We have a lovely community of people who come and they comment, and you know, if you've got ideas of gifts that perhaps you've bought for people in the past that have been a huge success, go ahead and post them in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.